Have you ever faced a test so difficult, so unimaginable, that it shook you to your very core? A moment where everything you believed in was put on the line? Today we're diving into one of the most profound stories of faith ever told, a story about a father, a son, and a test that would echo through millennia. This is the story of Abraham's ultimate act of obedience. Sometime after God had made incredible promises to Abraham, a test came. Imagine hearing God's voice, a voice you've come to trust, saying your name, Abraham. And you reply, "Here I am." But then the command that follows is shattering. "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will show you." Let's pause here. This is Isaac, the miracle child, the son of promise, born to Abraham and Sarah in their old age. He was the living embodiment of God's covenant. And now, God was asking for him back. How could this be? It's a command that seems to contradict everything God had promised. The confusion, the heartbreak Abraham must have felt is almost too much to comprehend. What would you do? How would you react? But what Abraham did next is what sets this story apart. The scripture says, early in the morning, Abraham got up. He didn't hesitate. He didn't spend days agonizing or trying to find a loophole. At the crack of dawn, he saddled his donkey, gathered 2 servants, his son Isaac, and the wood for the offering, and he set out. This immediate, decisive action speaks volumes about his faith. It wasn't a blind faith, but a faith forged through years of walking with God, of seeing his faithfulness time and time again. Abraham was acting on the belief that the God who gave him a son in a miraculous way could also, somehow, bring good from this terrible command. He trusted God's character even when he couldn't understand God's plan. For 3 long days they traveled. Can you imagine the silence, the weight of those 3 days? Every step towards Mount Moriah was a step towards an impossible choice. This journey wasn't just physical. It was a profound spiritual pilgrimage, a test of endurance in both body and soul. On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place in the distance. He turned to his servants and said something truly remarkable. "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." Did you catch that? We will come back. In the midst of this heart-wrenching trial, Abraham spoke in faith. He believed somehow that both he and Isaac would return. This wasn't a lie to his servants. It was a declaration of his trust in God's power, perhaps even believing God could raise Isaac from the dead. Then comes one of the most poignant moments in the entire Bible. Abraham placed the wood for the offering on Isaac's shoulders. The son, who was unknowingly the sacrifice, carried the very instrument of his own death. As they walked on together, Isaac, in his innocence, asked the question that must have pierced Abraham's heart like a knife. "My father." "Yes." "My son." Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Take a moment to feel the weight of that question, the trust in Isaac's eyes, the love in his voice. How does a father answer that? Abraham's reply is a masterpiece of faith and pain. God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. He was speaking a prophecy, though he may not have fully realized it. He was entrusting the outcome entirely to God. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide. This name for God was born out of this very moment of crisis. Abraham didn't have the answer, but he knew who did. When they arrived at the spot God had chosen, Abraham's resolve didn't waver. He built an altar, carefully arranged the wood. And then he tied up his beloved son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Every action is deliberate, filled with sorrow, yet driven by obedience. He laid his promise, his future, his heart, upon that altar. The final moment arrived. Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to carry out the command. In that split second, heaven and earth held their breath. Was Abraham willing to surrender absolutely everything to God? Just as he was about to act, a voice thundered from heaven. "Abraham, Abraham." He answered, "Here I am." And the angel of the Lord said, "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." The relief must have been overwhelming, like a tidal wave washing over him. The test was over. His son was safe. His faith had been proven genuine. It was to demonstrate the nature of true faith, a faith that trusts and obeys, even when it makes no sense. As Abraham looked up, his eyes filled with tears of relief. He saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. At the precise moment of need, God had provided the substitute. Just as Abraham had declared in faith, God will provide, there was the provision. This place became a perpetual reminder that when we are obedient to God, even in our most difficult trials, He is faithful to provide exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. But the story doesn't end there. God wasn't just pleased. The angel of the Lord called out a second time, this time with a powerful confirmation of the covenant. God declared, I swear by myself, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son. I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Because of his obedience, the promise was not just repeated, it was expanded and sealed with God's own oath. This points us forward thousands of years to another father who would offer his only son on a hill. The story of Abraham and Isaac is a beautiful foreshadowing of the gospel. God the Father did what he asked Abraham not to do. He provided the ultimate lamb, Jesus Christ, who carried his own wooden cross and was sacrificed for the sins of the world. It teaches us that faith is not just a feeling, it's an action. It's trusting God's character even when we can't see his plan. It challenges us to ask, what is the Isaac in my life? What is the one thing, a dream, a relationship, a possession, a plan that I'm holding on to so tightly that I'm unwilling to surrender it to God? True worship is surrendering our most treasured things to him, trusting that he knows best. The story of Abraham reminds us that on the other side of our obedience, on our own Mount Moriah, we will find that God is faithful. He is Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. And his blessings are far greater than anything we could ever give up. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of Scripture's most powerful narratives. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear this message of faith and provision. And forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, walk in faith.